All right, it is 12:30. Let's go ahead and get started. I think people are going to be trickling in a little bit, but we want to make sure that we are prompt and get you to where you need to go and dive in. So welcome to day 2 of ProCon 2021, and specifically the Jewish approaches to mental wellness and exploration of Jewish values and prayer. My name is Yael Warwick, and I'm the Professional Development Manager at JCC Association of North America. So you may have heard me say it before, but we're going to say a few logistic things before we get started. Components of this session will be recorded. We know that some people may not wish to be recorded, in which case feel free to turn off your camera. And we also understand that the nature of this session, there are components that may be sensitive. So we're going to be turning off the recording throughout so you can feel open to sharing your responses when either Shoshanah or Lisa prompts you to look inwardly for your own mental wellness journey. And we'll be communicating that throughout the session. If this is not the session you intended to join, don't panic. Just return to Spot Me and select a different session, or feel free to stay because it's going to be an engaging time for the next 90 minutes. Joining me today from JCC Association is Rabbi Tracey Kapowitz. Our names are going to appear at the top of your participant list as hosts. You can chat with either of us to address any needs or questions. And as we hope you've heard in each of the sessions you've attended so far, we aspire for every person to feel like they belong at ProCon 2021. And we're working to build inclusive spaces in which all people feel welcome, respected, safe, and fully included. To that end, we encourage you to consider the following suggestions as we begin our time together. We invite you to rename yourself in Zoom with your name, agency, and if you're comfortable and wish to, add your personal pronouns. Please note we've also enabled closed captioning for this session, and you do have the option to turn it off using the button at the bottom of your toolbar. So please reach out to either myself or Rabbi Tracey Kapowitz, my colleague, if there's anything we can do to enhance your learning experience. We're also thrilled to offer this multifaceted conference at no cost to our JCCs, and this was made possible because of our very generous ProCon sponsors. So we hope you'll join us in showing appreciation for their support by visiting the vendor booths in the virtual vendor hall. That's taking place tomorrow, Thursday at 1:45 p.m. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce today's guests, Lisa Ziv and Shoshanah Nirenberg, and Devin of the Blue Dove Foundation. Lisa Ziv is Chief Strategy Officer at the Blue Dove Foundation. She's an author, innovator, and thought leader focused on the intersection of faith and family, as well as Judaism's connection to mental health. Her experience as a parent of a child with mental health challenges forms the basis for her advocacy and education work to build more supportive schools and communities. And Shoshanah is a mental health expert and Jewish educator. They ran the JCCs program for Jewish alcoholics, chemically dependent persons, and significant others, and coordinated the JCCs Teen Mental Health Initiative Here Now from 2018 to 2020. Shoshanah's work has taken her throughout the Jewish movement, helping to build inclusive and affirming Jewish communities. So I hope you'll join me in giving your full attention to our speakers this afternoon. Please take it away.
Good afternoon or good morning to those joining us from different geographically diverse areas. Again, I'm Lisa Ziv from the Blue Dove Foundation, and we have literally been looking forward to our time together for months. So thank you so much for taking the time to join our presentation. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Blue Dove Foundation. And before I do, I just want to give you a quick synopsis. The Blue Dove Foundation, our main mission is to address mental health and substance abuse within the Jewish community and beyond. I'm going to play a quick, less than 2-minute video that introduces the Blue Dove to you in a fun way, and then we'll continue with the program.
Mental illness is something millions of people struggle with every year. In 2018, the year the Blue Dove Foundation was founded, nearly 1 in 5 American adults experienced mental illness. And since then, that number has only increased. But sadly, conversations about these issues in many Jewish communities have not. For years, mental health struggles have been treated as taboo, if they're treated at all, and people living with mental illness have had to live in silence. That is why the Blue Dove Foundation was founded, with a mission to educate, equip, and ignite the global Jewish community with tools to understand and overcome the challenges presented by mental illness and substance abuse. We encourage conversations about mental wellness in Jewish communities around the world with programs and educational resources. And in revealing the connections between Judaism and mental health, we show that mental wellness is both a human value and a Jewish value. In the very beginning of the Torah, we are told that after God completed his task of creating the world, he rested, teaching us that recovery, rest, self-care, and wellness are not only good, they are godly. Together, we can change the narrative surrounding mental health in the Jewish community and bring resources, support, and peace to each and every Jew.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Blue Dove Foundation. And I just want to take a moment to talk to you and say thank you and kol hakavod for all the work that you're doing in the youth and teen space. It's incredibly important and touches more lives than you will probably even ever be aware of. So thank you so much for all your work. I say as a former JCC youth program coordinator, I know it has its moments. For the most part, it's an amazing space that you're all working in, and it's such a vital space. So thank you so much. As a parent and now a Jewish community professional, the work you're doing is incredibly important. And the Blue Dove is here as a resource for you, regardless of where you are virtually. Our website has incredible resources based around the holidays for different demographics. May Mental Health Awareness Month is coming up in May. So we have incredible resources that we are happy to share with you. We're literally just a click or an email away. So in the time that we have together, we're going to talk about Jewish mental health middot, our values and prayer. And at the end of the workshop, you're going to walk away really getting a better understanding of how to look at mental health through a Jewish lens. So I'm going to turn it over now to Yael. Are we're going back to you or straight to Shoshanah? Straight to Shoshanah, our facilitator. Thank you.
Got the video going in. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa, for bringing us in. And also thank you to all of you for being here today. It makes a huge difference when Jewish professionals are willing to show up to a mental health resource or workshop. I know that ProCon has so many amazing options, and the fact that you chose to be here to dedicate an hour and a half of your time to learning about mental health, that in and of itself is amazing and starts ripples in the Jewish community, because you're creating space for your teens, for your youth, for your peers and other staff members. So, you know, Lisa touched on this, but there is a huge amount of shame and stigma around mental health, despite the fact that in 2020, we actually saw the number go from 25% of Americans struggling with mental health to 40% of Americans struggling with mental health. Yes, that's nearly half. We still feel a lot of shame. There's a lot of silence around talking about anxiety, depression, getting help. And so the Blue Dove Foundation really focuses in on that. And what we hold is not only is mental health a good value, but it's in fact a Jewish value. We believe so much of Jewish thought, literature, history lends itself to set up a beautiful foundation for mental health. And that's what we're going to share with you today. So we're going to start with just a quick intro activity, because I like to be interactive, which we call a speed text study, which is going to appear. So what's going to happen is, oh, it didn't have the Menti code. So I'm going to read a passage out loud really quickly, and we're going to ask you to jump on Menti. The way that you do that is you're going to go to menti.com, and in the chat, we're going to have a code. Devin, is that still possible? I realize it's not on the screen. Okay, amazing. Thank you. And what you're going to do is you're going to respond on Menti. It's amazing because it's anonymous and it lets us poll a whole group of people and we can see it live. So we're going to ask you, once I read this, to choose 3 words that you feel connect this to mental health. So in Genesis, there is this line that says, "And God said, let us make human in our image, after our likeness. They shall rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the cattle, the whole earth, and all the creeping things that creep on the earth. And God created the human in God's image. In the image of God, God created the human. With and without gender, God created them." And so what I'm going to ask you to do is go to menti.com, and you're going to put in the code, which is in the chat, but it's 89048995. And I want you to choose, we have 5 words. You can choose 3 to 5. It's all good, about how this text connects mental health and the Jewish community. And what we're actually going to get is like a little word cloud, which is always really exciting to me. We're going to use a lot of different programs today. We're going to use Menti, Mural. We're going to be in breakout rooms. At any point, if you are confused, please let us know. Either Devin or myself will help you out. I'm sure Yael will also help. So will Lisa. So feel free to kind of message us in the chat if you're struggling. So I'm going to give it just a few seconds for Menti to kind of load. I think, Devin, do you mind zooming in? Amazing. So I'm already seeing really cool things popping up. Responsibility, perfect. Intention or intentionality. Can we put the text back up? Sure. Or I can read it out loud for you one more time. Or I can post it in the chat, actually. I'll just post it in the chat while people vote. Okay, so I'm seeing a few words there. I think maybe we have to give it another second for it to load one more time. Is anybody having trouble with Menti? Oh, there we go. Okay, we're seeing some more come in. Community, creation. These are all really big themes within Judaism, and we're going to start by working through them, talking about them, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. One of the reasons that we do polls is every Jewish community is unique, and we like to acknowledge that, you know, JCCs are all over. Pro-con serves a huge amount of people. We're talking about the entire country of Jews, and so a lot of these polls we've had just amazing responses seeing what's important in which Jewish community. So we're going to go on to the next. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 8 middot, or the 8 Jewish values that the Blue Dove Foundation uses to kind of create this framework for mental health and bringing it into the Jewish community. So they're going to appear on your screen in just a minute. There will also be a PDF that we will share with you. So if there's anything that's exciting to you that we run through, don't worry. You're going to get a hard copy, or an electronic hard copy, so to speak, to take with you. And I'm just going to wait for us to click through to the next slide. I think one more. Okay, amazing. So why do we use middot? We believe that Jewish values, literature, history actually sets up the framework for mental health. The Blue Dove Foundation uses holidays, traditions, pieces of literature, Jewish text to kind of build this framework. And we do this using kind of these 8 main middot that are going to appear on your screen. Devin, I think one more slide. Okay, so the first one that we talk about is B'Tselem Elohim. It's the idea that we are all created in God's image. The amazing thing about this is it is completely counter to stigma and shame. B'Tselem Elohim says that there is value in all of us. We all deserve support and help when we need it. The next one is all Jews are responsible for each other, and you'll see that we have the Hebrew transliteration and the English. Jewish values hold that it's good to be invested in your community. It's important to care about fellow people and to give them support and to be involved. The next one is the Refuah Shlema, which is healing and wholeness. A very cool Jewish tradition. So Jewish tradition doesn't only think of healing as physical, it acknowledges the physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual parts of illness, recovery, and struggles. And the really cool thing about the Refuah Shlema is that it focuses on healing rather than curing. So much of the time when we talk about mental health, we can make people feel like they are defective or broken, or there's something inherently wrong with them, because we'll talk about things like curing anxiety. We all experience anxiety some of the time. At the Blue Dove Foundation, and this lines up really well with Jewish thought, we want to think about healing, managing, supporting, and connecting, and move away from that narrative that makes people feel like there's something wrong with them internally. Okay. A few more. Okay, Chesed Ugevura, balancing loving kindness against discernment. I love this one. So much of the time when somebody seeks help from us, we jump right into fix-it mode. We want to do solutions, but often people really just need to be heard. We need to listen to them and to ask questions. And that's the value of Chesed, loving kindness. At the same time, we want to use discernment. We want to be able to judge when we may have hit our limit or a boundary to take care of ourselves. We need to know when we should be taking things kind of up the flagpole, so to speak. So let's say you're at a JCC at a summer camp and you're noticing something is going on with one of your youth. If you're not a professional, Chesed Ugevura says, let's help you figure out where to get more resources to help that person. Pikuat Nefesh is the next one, that's saving a life. In Jewish tradition, there's no greater priority. All but 3 of the laws go out the window. And one thing that's very cool about it is that it has also been framed not only as saving a life, but enabling people to live their most meaningful lives. And that, of course, goes with mental health. Right. And on to the last 3, sharing the burden with the friends. This one is also, I love it because it comes from Shavuot, which is like upcoming very shortly. In Judaism, it's not only a mitzvah to help others, it's in fact a mitzvah to be helped by others. We get this from a few passages, and one of them is the story of Ruth and Naomi. And what it does is when we support each other, we create bonds, we help each other, we enact the other values. So not only is it good to support others, but being supported, asking for help when you need it, lines up with Jewish tradition. Lifnei Iver, or not putting a stumbling block in front of the blind, we used to talk about inclusion. We don't want to talk about disability in terms of people being handicapped or in a negative way. We want to talk about creating communities that are uplifting, affirming, and inclusive of everyone, and celebrate every single person for their identities and make space for them in the room. And the very last one, which I'm sure you have heard a ton about, is tikkun olam, or repairing the world. But we like to take it a step further and talk about the idea of tikkun hanefesh, which is the idea of repairing the soul. This comes out of some Jewish thought that says, if you want to repair the world, you have to start by repairing what's within. And we use this to talk about things like self-care, like taking care of your own boundaries, and making sure that when you're out there changing the world, which you absolutely are doing and impacting the Jewish community, you're also supportive and taking care of yourself. So I know that is a ton of information. Please feel free to put any questions in the chat, but we're actually going to jump back onto Menti. At this point, I'm going to stop recording for a little bit because some of these questions can be personal, and we want to really give you the space to talk as much about your mental health or what you're seeing in the Jewish community as we can. As a reminder, Menti is anonymous. Oh, I lost the ability to turn off the recording. Oh, here we go. So the Misheberach prayer, which focuses on healing and wholeness and wellness, is actually an amazing vehicle to talk about mental health. So we have worked with people all across the country, all different ages, all different roles in the Jewish community, to create Misheberach prayers specific to mental health. And we create them in all different forms. And in a second, we're going to show you what that looks like on your screen, because that's going to be a big part of our activity for today. So this one is actually the Blue Dove Foundation one that's professionally written, and I'm going to read it out loud to you. So this is a Misheberach for mental health that was specifically created to empower the Jewish community. May the one who blessed our ancestors, who named us Yisrael, bless and heal those among us who struggle with mental well-being. May they acknowledge their own strength and resilience in persevering. May they treat themselves with forgiveness and patience. May they find others who share their experiences so they know they are not alone. May they find help, compassion, and resources when they are able to reach out for them. And may they find others willing to reach out first when they cannot. May they find inclusive and welcoming communities that uplift and celebrate them. May the Holy One grant us the strength and resilience to support our loved ones. May we find the patience and forgiveness we need for ourselves and others. May we find solidarity and support from other caregivers. May we find the capacity to listen without judgment and with the intention to help when asked. And may we find the ability to notice when others are struggling and reach out to them first. May we create communities that accept, uplift, and celebrate all those among us who are struggling. Now, of course, not all of them are this long. You'll see a few on the next slide that are short and written. Could I have someone, a volunteer, to take themselves off mute and read the one in the middle, because it's one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, no problem. The middle one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Misheberach for the overworked counselor. May you learn power and healing in learning to say no, in respecting your boundaries and in letting yourself rest. May you learn that everything may need not be done by you. May you learn to accept help and to take care of yourself first. May you understand that you are enough as is. Your value is not in what you can do for others, and it's okay to let others carry the burden.
I love that one because it was written with a workshop for Foundation for Jewish Camp, and that one was written by two folks in their late teens who were working at summer camps as counselors. Kind of similarly, we have one for burnout, and that one's on the right. And we have so many of these. I think we probably have about 150 of them at this point that have been written by Jews all across the country. We have actually created an anthology, a book that is going to be out in May for Mental Health Awareness Month, with just huge amounts of Misheberachs, anxiety, depression, boundaries. We have one for folks who struggle to connect to prayer because that came out of one of these workshops. And I absolutely love it. So this is the activity that we're going to do today. In a few minutes, we're going to break you into breakout rooms and you'll be in small groups. And what we would like for you to do is identify one mental health issue that exists in your Jewish community. And from there, we want you to create a Misheberach. It does not have to be as formal as the professional one. It doesn't have to use Mayu language. It can be a set of bullet points. It can be a paragraph. Feel free to have fun and be creative. In a second, it's going to appear on your screen, kind of the instructions. And also what you'll see is in the chat, there's going to be a PDF that kind of has all this written down. It'll also supply you with the original text of the Misheberach, so you have a jumping off point. The way that we're going to do this, where we're going to write them, is on Google Drive. So in just a few moments, you're going to see a Google Drive link in your chat. Please click it now, because once we send you to breakout rooms, I think you're going to lose this particular chat. And what you're going to do is you're going to jump on there and you can write in any color, any font, and together as groups in little chavrutas, we're going to create some Misheberachs. For this part, I'm also going to be turning off the recording. That way you can really have, personal conversations if you want in your breakout room sessions. I'll be popping in and out to check on folks. But before we send you to breakout rooms, do you have any questions? Okay, looks good. So Devin is going to send you to breakout rooms really quickly. If anything comes up, please feel free to let us know. And we'll be excited to see what you create. Okay, amazing. I love those Misheberachs. Again, leave your first name on them if you would like, or you can make them anonymous and we will share them out. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is concrete takeaways, right? There's a lot of information in this session. Mental health is a big topic. How are we going to infuse it into your lives and the lives of the youth that you're working on? So in a second, the slideshow is going to pop back up and there's going to be a discussion question. We're actually going to send you back to breakout rooms to do some brainstorming in different groups. And there's going to be an action worksheet. So if you go to your chat, what you're going to see is there is a link to what we call the a community action plan worksheet. It asks a few questions. What it's really going to focus in on are what concepts from today's workshop do you want to bring back with you? How do you hope to apply these? And who can you collaborate with to make this happen? Because we know within the Jewish community, there is so much support and collaboration can make such a huge difference. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take 5 minutes to take these sheets and fill them out to try and think of even just one concept and one idea to bring back to your local community, to your local JCC. Does anyone have any questions before we send you back out? Okay, amazing. In a minute, you're going to be sent to breakout rooms. This one's going to be a little bit shorter.